There's something there. You see it with your own eyes. A face in a sliver of light. A shadow that moves in the darkness. We pay very little attention to it as we rush through our daily lives, but it's there. A shape in a photograph. A strange sound in a recording. Stories of the strange and paranormal exist everywhere, even in Topeka. From the albino woman of Rochester to the ghosts in Constitution Hall. There are tales of spirits haunting the Capitol building and a specter that resides in the Jayhawk Theater. Legend has it, even an exorcism was performed in our fine city. Tonight, in the spirit of Halloween, we're going to explore some of these tales. If you grew up in Topeka, there's a good chance you've heard the tale of a ghost that haunts Rochester Cemetery. All know her as the albino woman.
She moved here in 1923 to join a traveling circus or carnival. However, instead she attended the Stormont School of Nursing and became a pediatric nurse where she would work the rest of her life. She lived in the North Topeka area of Rochester, where she would often pass through the Rochester Cemetery late at night to visit the graves of her husband and son that had been buried there in 1944. When she passed away in 1967, many stories began to be told, particularly at the Cloverleaf Drive-In, where she would be seen walking beneath the drive-through screen. She would often wave to people that she had known in life. In 1973, there's a story from Pelletiers where a young boy that is 5 years old is shopping with his mother. And as he's there, one of the mannequins begins to reach out for him. The store clerk begins to scream at the spirit and yells for her to leave, that she's dead. What happens is the ghost steps out through the plate glass window right onto Kansas Avenue and disappears. In 2002, there's a father in North Topeka who wakes in the middle of the night to hear someone inside of his child's bedroom. When he goes into the room, he sees a woman standing there, all white, pale skin, long flowing white hair and pink eyes, staring down at his child and caressing it. She suddenly disappears. Another story from the Rochester neighborhood tells of her walking down the street and a father seeing her and calling out to his children to come look at the spirit as it's walking down the street. Just a few nights later, it's in the yard. A few nights later, it's come closer to the house. A few nights later, it's actually staring in the window at his small children, with its long white hair and pink eyes, looking at them, observing what is going on inside the house. She continues to be seen throughout the city of Topeka. Take a chance and take a walk along Soldier Creek, the very path that she would walk each night on her way home through the Rochester Cemetery. You may see her out there. Maybe she'll take a moment and wave, say hello to you before disappearing back into the night.
The Kansas State Capitol, a beautiful building, taller than the U.S. Capitol. At one time, it was one of the few capitals to allow tours to the top. Its narrow, steep, 296 steps lead up to a height of almost 300 feet. Legend has it that a young woman touring the grounds one summer day decided to take up the challenge of climbing the dome staircase as high as possible to the very last step. She made it almost 300 feet, and we can only imagine what might have been the last thing she saw outside the dome's windows. Maybe a sun-filled Kansas horizon, maybe hot air balloons. But regrettably, she fell.
She severed off her left arm and scraped her face all the way down to the bone on the right side, hitting the mop bucket of a janitor that was mopping the rotunda floor. If she had not hit the second floor balcony of the rotunda, there would have been 2 deaths inside of our state capitol that day. He left work that day, being scared of what had happened. When he returned to work the next day, he said he saw the spirit standing in the exact spot where she had hit the floor. It scared him enough that he decided he would no longer work in the Kansas State Capitol building again, and was transferred instead to the docking building, where he would finish his career in 2014 with more than 50 years of working for the state capitol. The governor of Kansas requested his presence inside the Capitol building. However, he refused to enter the building for fear that he would see the spirit again. Instead, the governor went to the docking building to present him with a special certification for all those years of service. Her spirit continues to be seen throughout the state capitol building, including with a state representative whose office is in an old bank vault. He says late one evening he was working when he saw her spirit trying to push the bank vault door closed on him. He jumped up and ran around his desk, pushing the door, making sure that it did not close. He refuses to work by himself late at night. She has also been seen in the parking garage underneath the state capitol building, walking along for about 30 to 40 feet across the security cameras before simply disappearing. If you happen to be at the state capitol building, keep an eye out for a woman dressed in a long dress with bare feet, talking to herself, making sure that she's still remembered even now.
You may think cryptids don't exist. Yet, National Geographic has proven that at least 2 cryptids thought to be hoaxes did, in fact, exist. Topeka has its own cryptid.
Standing 14 feet tall and resembling a child's drawing. This one is called the Stick Man. The Stick Man is a figure much like the Slender Man. He started appearing about 10 years ago. This figure has been seen in the city of Topeka more than 17 times in the last 10 years. Including an incident on Jackson Avenue where a young man by the name of Roger was traveling home, walking the street. He said he saw across the street from him a tall, slender figure, like a child's drawing that was shadowy. He began to run from it. As it followed him down the street, aware that it was there, he would get away. He made it home safely. The figure has also been seen on North Kansas Avenue, moving among the buildings, watching those that happen to be there. One of the local homeless men talks of seeing it as he was out on the streets, standing upwards of 14 to 15 feet. It had a loping motion as it chased him. He fled all the way to the police station on 4th and Kansas on the opposite side of the river. If you happen to be on the darkened streets of Topeka, keep an eye on your surroundings. You may see this figure standing that 14 feet tall, looking just like a child's drawing, following you down the street, and hope that it doesn't catch you.
The Jayhawk Theater was built in 1926. Billed as Topeka's first deluxe motion picture palace, it had 1,500 seats and was one of the first air-conditioned theaters in Kansas. It was a popular place, opening with silent films and vaudeville acts. In 1933, a musical came to the city, including a young actress with stars in her eyes. She was a budding dancer and singer, but she had a secret. She was pregnant. When the touring company discovered her secret, she was abruptly released from the show. The young actress knew her career would be forever changed, and worse, because she was pregnant out of wedlock, she would be ostracized from the community. Legend is that she was distraught, and with nowhere to go, she roamed the dim passages of the hotel and theater until that night's show was over. And then, in the dark, silent, empty theater, she climbed the stairs to the balcony to overlook the stage she would no longer sing and dance on. No one knows for sure what exactly happened next, only that they found the starry-eyed actress the next day, lying dead in the seats below. Tales of her paranormal presence have been told ever since.
In 2003, a team of paranormal investigators were in the building, looking into the spirits of the Jayhawk Theater. They happened to be standing in front of the stage, filming themselves, talking amongst themselves, having a decent conversation about what was happening in the building. When they went back to review their footage, what they found was a woman sobbing in the background. None of them had heard it with their ears. The only place that they could hear it was on the film that they had created. Just a couple of years ago, two members of the Jayhawk Theater Reconstruction Committee saw a woman in black running up the stairs for the balcony. They investigated the building, searching for a woman in black, and could not find one. The only thing that they could believe was that they had seen the spirit running back up those stairs for the balcony. If you happen to be inside the Jayhawk Theater, take a moment and listen. Maybe you'll hear her crying in the background. Maybe you'll see the woman in black running up the stairs to the place where she would die.
Built in 1854, Constitution Hall is the oldest standing building in the city of Topeka. It was the free state capital of Kansas, the place where slavery would come to die. In 1869, after the new and current capitol was built and occupied, Constitution Hall was used for other commercial purposes, including that of a mortuary, where hundreds of bodies would pass through the building. Tales are told that one of the tenants, a dark-featured man with long white beard, was the leader of a Topeka spiritualist association, believing in the paranormal. Seances were held in the basement of the building, and over the years has become a beacon to spirits and ghostly activity. Those who have entered the basement have told stories of strange swirl marks on the dirt floor. It's believed by some that this represents an opening, a portal that allows spirits to visit us from the other side. Stories are also told that if you stand outside at night, you might see the ghost of the long white-bearded spiritualist standing in the upstairs window. But don't be disappointed if you don't see the ghost. There's more than one specter that calls Constitution Hall home. In 1863, a Kansas buffalo hunter was out on a hunt when his gun accidentally discharged.
A bullet passed through his left lung. He tied himself to his saddle, riding back for the city of Topeka. He would never make it back alive. His body would arrive there at Constitution Hall. Today, he is often heard repeating the words buffalo, deer, elk, and rabbit, the things that he would hunt in life. He wants people to remember him for what he was and what he still is.
If you happen to visit Constitution Hall, take a moment to listen for the buffalo hunter's spirit. If you don't hear him, maybe ask a question. How did you die? You might be surprised to find out he's willing to tell you. Or stand outside and take in the simple design of the earliest capital of Kansas. Stare a moment at the upstairs windows. And though the basement doesn't exist today as it once did, you still may find a portal to the other side. A tale is told of a young man who would go to war with a demon. The year was 2005, and he had just graduated from a Topeka high school. Paying his own way, he found the cheapest apartment he could find to help with the bills. At the time, its worst feature were no covered parking and laundry facilities on the first floor. Little did he know something much more dark and sinister awaited.
The young man lived in the apartment building for a total of 6 weeks. During that time, he says that he would awaken in the middle of the night to voices whispering in his ears. He said he would see shadow people walking throughout the building. On the night he decided to move out of the apartment, he looked up from his television to see 5 shadowy figures crouched in an upside-down position, hanging from his living room ceiling. He took the time to pack his bags, but whatever had happened inside that building had already taken possession of his life. He became a kleptomaniac, stealing things from even his own family and friends. He became so violent on one occasion that he attacked a person on Kansas Avenue, putting that person in a hospital. He turned to the Roman Catholic Church looking for answers. The Catholic Church believes in a long series of counseling, and it can take anywhere from 1 to 2 years to determine whether or not you really need an exorcism. Within 6 months, they decided he needed an exorcism that would occur here in the city of Topeka. They would bring 7 priests from around the world who specialize in exorcisms to the city in preparation. An exorcism is a hellish and brutal experience.
God the Father, God the Son commanded, God the Holy Ghost commanded, the glorious Mother of God.
The young man would suffer a total of 7 broken bones in his body, including the right femur, which is the hardest bone in the human body. After 8 days of torment, the demons were finally driven out. That young man still lives here in the city of Topeka. He graduated from Washburn University. However, he refuses to go anywhere near the downtown area for fear that he will be possessed a second time, an experience that no one would wish to have.
These are just a few of the paranormal tales from around the city of Topeka. We hope that you've enjoyed them. Thank you for watching. Have a happy and safe Halloween.